All right, this is a late introduction. Well, hell, that'll be another video. This mess you see here is way out of timeline from this video that I'm putting out today. Anyways, purpose for this is I just need to apologize for how long it took me to get this video out. Run into a lot of issues. Work, been extremely busy at work. So I've had very little time to edit videos. I actually took a lightning strike at the house and it smoked my computer. There's a whole list of other excuses I can send you. All of them valid, but still excuses. Another main root cause is I absolutely detest editing videos. So I apologize. It's been way too long. I'm gonna try to do better. In fact, as soon as I put this one out, I'm gonna start on the next one. I actually think it's gonna be a Camaro video, so I think I've only got one of those out. We'll get started on another one. And like I said, this is way out of sequence timeline, so some of the stuff you see here you won't see for a while in my little video libraries. Like I said, primarily because I just hate editing videos. And yeah, I got plenty of material, I just haven't made them. Alright, so let me insert this into this video, see about publishing it, just putting it out on YouTube for y'all, and I'll start on the next one. Thanks, guys. Alright, here's my attempt at a alignment. Went for a drive that I had a pretty decent front end hop, so I'm thinking, in fact, even when I parked it, I could tell that one of these tires was kind of rolled over under the rim, so it felt like it was towed in pretty significantly. So I'm trying to figure out how much, or if it's something else, but this is my attempt at an alignment check. Just take a piece of string, just barely tap it on, well, I hug it on this side pretty hard, just get it so it's just barely touching the other side of that tire, fasten it off on the other side. Do that on both sides here. Do it on both sides. Measure it right up against the rim here, as far as from one side string to the other string. I come up with like 66 1/8. Take that as you will, how accurate that is. But anyways, I'm gonna say it was 66 1/8. Come all the way out here, and you can see my little mark. I measured that far off the tire on both sides. And then I measured from this point to the other side, that string, and if it is parallel, it should also be 66 1/8. Well, I measured it and it was like 64 1/4, which tells me it's got a toe in. You want a toe in, but I don't know how much. I'm gonna have to do some research on it. I figured I'd go ahead and try to tow it out some, spread it out. The only problem is, evidently, this is the problem I have with trying to adjust it. I know, bad lighting, but I don't have any adjustment. I've already got this tie rod screwed all the way in. I don't know how that came, I guess when I got this disc brake upgrade, as well as this 4-inch drop axle, a combination of those two, for whatever reason shortened up my front axles, brought everything in significantly. Either way, either A, I'm gonna have to order another steering shaft right here, or I'm gonna either have to cut this and re-weld it, which I'm not really too fond of, but let me think about what I gotta do. There's the other alignment check that I tried doing. In theory, it's the same as the string method. Take your board, hug it up against the tire right there. Actually, this is a 2x6, 2x10, 8. Might be a little bit better, but this is what I had. So in theory, you do the same thing. You hug it up against the side of the tire. Do the same thing with measuring from right here at the tire and out there at the end. Find out if it's towed in or out. The problem I have is my 2x6 is bowed, so it's not straight enough to really give me a warm fuzzy. That's the reason I went through the hassle of this string method. Alright, I believe last time I left off, we got the steering shaft pulled out and I'd run out of adjustment on it, so I had I could not get this thing towed out anymore. My steering was towed in. Still got my little jacks and strings set up where I was attempting to shady tree mechanic my alignment, and I come up with the fact that I was towed in. So went to adjust it. I was all out of adjustment on my tie rod. So plan was to get a couple dies. This is right hand thread. Other end on the driver's side is a left hand thread. Plan was to get some dies, run some threads a little bit further down and cut maybe a 1/4 inch off, 1/2 inch off, so I can adjust my tie rod ends in further, which would bring my toe in out. Well, I couldn't find the right size die. Couldn't find out what it is on off the internet. I had got my hands on a 3/4 inch die, too small. Got my hands on a 7/8 die, that was too big. I was like, well, it's probably metric. I have no idea why, but it's like, well, before I go out spend money on a oddball die that I don't even know if it's going to work, I just decided, let me just take it to a machine shop, see if they can go ahead and cut some new threads on it. That way I ain't got to spend big money on a die that may not work. Took it to the machine shop, explained to them the situation I was having. Told them either A, I was thinking about cutting 1 inch or 2 off of here and then run it all the way up and just leave the other side the same. That way I only had to mess with one end for adjustment. And I also told them another option I was thinking about doing, and I don't know if I told you this, but one option I was thinking about was cutting it right in the middle, cutting 1 inch out of the middle, buttoning them together and welding it back together with a strong back. I didn't think that would go over real well on the internet, but that was something that was also going around the back of my mind. Well, evidently, talking to him about it, he strongly recommended I do not cut it in half and try to weld it. Number one, he says this is a piece of forged metal. He says you could cut it easy enough, but welding back together would be very difficult. I have to take his word for it, I don't know, but he said welding it back together, having a good strong weld would be very difficult with it being a piece of forged metal. As far as the threads go, he said, yeah, we can go ahead and put some new threads on there. And he got to looking at the ends, and if I don't know if it's going to show up very well here or not, but actually on the ends where the threads are actually located, it's a fatter piece of metal. So it's almost like it's flared out. And then they cut the threads into the flared end of the metal. He called it a bastard thread. He says it's actually a metric diameter with a standard thread pitch. Was able to cut some new threads, same pitch and everything on here, but you can see it's not near as peaks aren't near as tall as the original. So it's almost like a square threads. Not the best, but it'll be enough for me to run past. I am able to run it, and I haven't done any cutting on it, but I am able to run it down a little bit further. So it wasn't that the shaft was too long, it was the fact that I didn't have enough threads. With these extra threads he cut in, I am able to thread about another, I wouldn't call it a full 1/4 inch, but just by looking at it, I am able to thread it a little bit further. So what my plan is I'll go ahead and install both tie rod ends, screw them all the way down, which is hopefully, if I got a 1/4 inch more on each end, I think that should be enough, and I won't have to worry about doing any cutting of the overall length. And if I'm still towed in too much, then I'll come back, pull it all apart again, and I'll cut a 1/4 inch off each end, and we'll see what that does for me. Here's a quick overview of my steering alignment with the string. So I bring this all the way out, but I come up with 68 inches here. It's right at 2 inches is where my square lines up. So 66 minus that 2 inch right there, that's 66 inches. So at 53 inches out, it's measuring 66 inches. Right at the face of the tire, it was 66.5, which tells me that I have now got a slight toe in still. That's with my tie rod adjusted as much as I can go. It's a lot better than where it was. The measurement I did before measured about a 3 inch difference. So right now I'm at 66 inches, just a 1/2 inch toe in. What I need to do is go ahead and tighten everything up, button it up. I need to go for a test ride. I need to get crap out of my way. Go for a test drive and find out if I still have that same front wheel hop that I was experiencing before. See if I can go for a test drive. I'm gonna have to go get more gas. I gotta go fill up a couple of my 5-gallon cans, put gas in this thing before I go for a quick jaunt. Running a little bit on the rich side. It likes the gas. So it's still same drivability, and I mean it was almost like it was riding on the edge of the tires. So what I did was pull that tie rod back off. I went ahead and measured it with both tie rod ends on, and measurement was 37 11/16. So I took that as a baseline, and I went ahead and took one tie rod end off, the side with the right end threads, and I cut that much off. So all I did was cut a 1/4 inch, short my tie rod by a 1/4 inch. Went ahead and installed it, set everything back down just to see how everything's looking. And just based on wheel wells and looking at how straight it is in the wheel well here compared to the other side, it looks like it's dramatically changed. It looks like I have now got a pretty decent toe out. I think I'm going to go ahead and tighten everything up with this toe out scenario and see what happens. Go for just another quick drive down the road, see how it reacts. Let me give her a test drive with this thing maxed out and with what appears to be a toe out. Alright, I'm still working on the alignment, having issues. Still feels like it's towed in, but I don't know. Next little troubleshooting I did was I taped this piece of paper down in front of my tires when I had it sitting down, both of them. Kind of marked a straight edge across, measured like whatever the measurement was from edge to edge, wrote it down, then I slowly drove on it. What I was hoping was I'd see either this piece of paper kick in or that other one kick in like that, show a sliding on the concrete. I would think that it would be the paper would slide and more or less exaggerate a toe in and or toe it out scenario. So I drove up some, looked at it. Measurement really didn't change any, so either A, the paper wasn't sliding, or B, it just, like right there you can see it's wrinkled up. But one thing that did catch my eye, and it's hard to see here, but only half my tread pattern was really showing up on this driver's side tire. And I got to looking down as well, and got to looking, and this tire's got a heck of a crown to it. And I got to looking again, I was like, well, some pretty raunchy tires, a whole lot of dry rot. Just looking through it and looking, and that kicks me in the gut right there. Good thing I wasn't going over 50 with these tires. And then I also noticed this right here. I don't know if it's just been sitting crooked or towed in for so long that it put a bad, I don't know if this is going to show up. I don't know if it's showing up or not, but the whole tire is kind of got a lean to it. Then I look at this one right here and see how this one looks nice and flat. I was looking at this one, I said, I don't see any dry rot on this one. Then all of a sudden, I got to seeing that right there. If you look across the edge right there, it slowly starts towing in. Right there is probably the worst you could see. So if you see the edge right there, I'll try to follow it. So if you we'll try to follow see how flat this tire is, square. Gets worse. Look at that. I mean, that's pretty wild. Once again, I don't know if it's been sitting for so long with the toe in. I've been working on this car or this truck for a really long time, so I guess it's possible it's been sitting such a bad angle for so long it's ruined these tires, and now that I'm finally trying to drive straight on them, the tires are already ruined. I mean, my rear tires, they're in bad shape. I bought these originally years ago just to see. There is no tread on them things. But I bought these things just because they held air. Yeah, they held air. And that's all I needed when I was building the truck. I guess now that I'm actually to the point where I'm ready to get it on the road, I better go ahead and get some real tires put on this thing. So I get some new tires, then I'll try this whole alignment thing again. doesn't have near the wheel hop. The whole front end isn't hopping. I gotta fix this squeaky steering wheel. Alright, so I finally got it down to the alignment shop. Had them guys take a look at the alignment on this thing. A little over 2 hours later, and it drove like a completely different animal on the way home. I was doing probably about 45, 50 down there, and it wasn't that bad. It was still driving straight. It was just kind of floating though. Every once in a while it might make a quick dart to the left or right. Easily able to catch it and, you know, correct it and everything like that. Nothing too bad, but especially only doing about 40 to 50, 55 miles an hour. But obviously something needed to get done. So the alignment shop, they went ahead and took care of it. Like I said, about 2 hours into it. Biggest thing I found wrong was my own fault, more or less, but every single one of these little ball joints was just not tight enough. I mean, I always assumed you wanted a little loose so that it would move, but no, they say you crank that thing down just as tight as you can get it, just like any other, like you were putting your lug nuts on. They say you crank it down hard. So that's a lesson learned for me. One thing I do have to follow up on that they left for me was I'm not quite sure what this is called. It's not a drag link, I don't know what it is, but they say there's still a little bit of flex in this rod right here. I need to get some jam nuts to go on both ends of here. Take that piece out, find out what size nuts I'm going to have to get, and one of them is going to be a standard, the other one's going to have to be a reverse thread just because of this heim joint. Another thing they were worried about, and I kind of suspected it, is this tie rod. It's you see how close it is to the leaf springs. They actually had to pry it away from the leaf springs. They were just barely touching, but they said it does affect it. Oh, another thing they were worried about is right here, and this is the one that I knew about. Right here, this tie rod under heavy steer. Let's see if I can make it steer. Hold on. But under heavy steer, this tie rod is actually, you can see a shiny spot. It's actually hitting. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's actually hitting my shock. So, note to self, limit my left hand turns. Otherwise, my steering stop is actually my going to be my front shock. So I'm pretty happy with the alignment. I've already told about one thing I got to do. I'm going to go ahead and try to find some jam nuts for this thing. After that, I should be this should pretty much cover my steering issues as before anyone asks, yeah, they did. They also aligned the rear axle. It had a slight crab to it, meaning it was pointing one way more than the other. They were able to loosen up the axle U-bolts, and it took minimal beating, but they tapped it over a little bit. It wasn't off center, but it was, like I said, it was crab walking just a little bit. I couldn't tell, at least not with my front steering issues. So anyways, that's I think that's going to cover my steering issues. I get this taken care of and button it back up, and we'll move on to what's next. I think next is next thing I'm gonna have to do is coming up, I'm gonna have to work on these gauges. Specifically, my speedometer needs to be set, and my fuel tank was slap full, and it was still only showing, it was showing E here empty. So that's next, is I'm gonna have to dig the book out and see how to calibrate my speedometer on these Dakota digital gauges, calibrate the speedometer, and calibrate my fuel tank. See what's going on with them. That'll be next. So I got me some jam nuts. Got one left-hand thread there and a right hand on there, the other side. So it takes for one right-hand thread and one left-hand thread. I finally had to get on the internet and find them. Actually went to Amazon. Found, and of all places, it came from Speedway. I'm afraid to go on their website and see if it was cheaper or more expensive. But this is the only way I could get them. I ended up getting a pack of six left-hand and 6 right-hand thread. So I got some spare jam nuts. These are actually, I don't know if you can read it, 11/16 by 18 threads per inch. But there you go. Throw these on here, and this should be the end of my alignment issues. The only problem I might come back to is when I'm driving straight. We'll see if my steering wheel's pointing straight. If not, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to go ahead and see what's next on the hit list.